distribution and the human well-being, and an era marked by widening economic disparities, persistent poverty, and physical constraints on governments. The relevance of alternative and complementary financing mechanism has become increasingly pronounced. There was a day I decided to look at the issue of poverty intervention. And when you Google, you will see that Nigeria began with so many interventions, about 20, including the river basins, the DFRI, the Anko Orowa program, all are aimed at reducing poverty. But why is it that from the National Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria, the poverty index, multidimensional poverty index, continue increasing up to today? I think it is time that everyone that matters, that answer this question. Why has there been several interventions? Before, we don't have an office for social investment, poverty alleviation, poverty eradication, poverty, better life for rural women, better XYZ. All has been done. But why is it from 1970 up to this moment, instead of the poverty reducing, when the MC told us that even Bangladesh is now 5-point-something%, in Saudi Arabia is 0.X%, in X country is X%, but in our own, in Nigeria, when you look at it from 70, it is increasing as exponentially up to this level where we are today. Why? I work in the government with due apology and under the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. I manage the second largest irrigation scheme in this country. That is Baccalaureate. And I happen to be almost in over 200 dams across this country, almost, inshallah. I have visited more than 50 of them. And I visited a number of irrigation projects. And I've seen the rural people. I live with the rural people. But unfortunately, the indices we are having is increasing. Why? But one big question that probably people may not want me to ask, and I apologize if someone feels probably I don't intend to hurt anybody. Those who manages these interventions are millionaires and billionaires. But the people that are to solve their problem are remaining day by day, increasingly, they are becoming poorer and poorer. The question is, we need to stop and ask ourselves, why? And are we really serious? However, the Islamic social finance, to a large extent, will play its role because it is a range of, Sharia-compliant financial tool aimed at social welfare, poverty reduction, and redistribution. This includes zakat, obligatory giving. In Islam, if you have wealth, you have to give. If you are not giving compulsory, you are expected to give sadaqah. And that is why in Islam, many of our offense, if you want to reconcile with God, it has to go along with sadaqah. The Muslims here knew that there are offenses if you commit, if you want to reconcile with God, you go and give charity. There is stated charity that you have to give to somebody. God doesn't need your sadaqah. You can't do anything for God. But you do it to those category of people he has designated to be receiving that from you. So helping someone, and in Islam, every Muslim know here, those who are not Muslim, listen to me. The Prophet said, he is not a believer in me. He is not a believer in me. He is not a believer in me. They asked him, who? He said, anybody who lie down and slept belly full and his neighbor slept hungry, he doesn't believe in me. So why do we leave our brothers and sisters from 20, 30, 40, 50, 60? Now in the whole Nigeria, we are not ashamed to stand before the world and tell the world that in Nigeria we live, with a lot of resources, both surface, on the ground, and also in the climate. All these abundant resources, yet we still say we are sick. I think all of us should be ashamed to even mention it. But rather, if we don't want to mention it, we need to come all together and fight it. And I want to assure you that if we are ready to fight it, it will come down drastically. Everything is in the hands of God. Islamic microfinance and Takaful cooperative insurance are part of all which are designed to promote social justice, financial inclusion, and sustainable development, unlike conventional financial systems that are primarily profit-driven. Islamic social finance operates on principles that prohibit interest. Riba. Riba is not allowed in Islam. Excessive uncertainty, that is garar. And then an unethical investment, not allowed. Thereby ensuring the financial activities contribute positively to the development of society. I'm asking you, those who make business in wine, in drinking beer. Yes, they have made money, profit, but somebody has become drunkard and abused everybody and met goats and greeted goats and then met sheep and start greeting goats. Madness. So, yes, they are making money. Look at the cigarette. They even tell us in the radio, if you smoke, you are liable to die young. We all agree. The government agree. What do you call them? The legislators agree. The judiciary agree. And yet in Nigeria, we allow smoking. Are we really serious? We shouldn't fool God, and we cannot fool anybody. Some of the core instruments on how this, what I mentioned, work, includes zakah, compulsory. Compulsory. And when you are giving zakah can be given to somebody whether you like him or you don't like him, whether you know him or you don't know him, whether he belongs to a political party or not belong to a political. That's why it should be given to someone appointed by God who should be just and fair. Then there is the waqf. If you need development, you go, and waqf is perpetual and irreversible. And there are many ways. Tomorrow you are dealing with waqf, so I will not take time on that. But waqf can result into even building schools, clinics, water fountains or water wells, housing, including micro grants, etc., etc. Tomorrow, I'm sure Brother Abdullah will tell you more about this. Now, there are also sadaqah, which is voluntarily charity. There is also Qardun Hasan, which is benevolent loan. There is also Islamic microfinance, which probably tomorrow they will tell you more about it. I'm not an expert. The Mudaraba, the Musharaka, the Ijara, etc. And of course the Takaful, which is also cooperative. But at least I know many cooperatives of this nature that have succeeded around the world. The global perspective, here we need the issue of the scale and methods. For example, the reforestation provides immediate long-term benefit of the environment, such as global assets. Islamic social finance, therefore, is potentially estimated at 3 trillion if fully mobilized. For example, later I will show you another slide of Indonesian contribution in the subject matter we are talking today. But for business, it managed national zakat only, not waqf, of about 1.4 billion. In 2023, and we have witnessed that we have gone far onto digital zakat. In fact, in Bazna, I also saw rice ATM machine, rice ATM machine. And in Malaysia, Waqf integrated with state Yayasan Waqf Malaysia Fund. They were able to fund dialysis centers at affordable housing and many others. In Malaysia, most of the states Those who school in Malaysia, they may know whether it is the capital, Kuala Lumpur, whether it is Perlis, whether it is Kedah. Most of these zakat institutions have created dialysis centers that you don't even need to pay if you cannot afford. Therefore, Islamic social finance is not charity alone. It is a system of social justice. And Business Indonesia is a model. Look at their model of poverty alleviation. Look at what they have clustered here. I just put it here so that you can see the manner at which globally some countries address these issues of poverty alleviation or poverty reduction. At least, as mentioned by the MC, they have succeeded in making impact towards the fight against poverty reduction. Some of the clusters they made include family-based integrated social assistance, that is about extreme poverty. And number two, poverty reduction based on community empowerment. These, our Nigerian zakat institutions, including Kaduna, need to imbibe on this. Then the third one is poverty reduction based on empowerment of micro and small economic enterprises. These are very, very important. The destinations are provided, and the business program that come in to help are mentioned at the extreme column. And this extreme column include in number one, humanitarian, social, education, social health. While in column 3 or in the middle column, it goes on to retail empowerment, such as the Z-Mart, food retail empowerment, programs such as the Z-Chicken. All this I mentioned, I saw them with my eyes. It's not that I read. No, I saw them physically, and I saw the impact they have made on those who are lucky to benefit from this exercise. I think I will not take much of your time. If you look at number 4, Z copy, the only copy we know here is Meshai. They are on everything, they try to improve on it and make it more in a scalable manner and in a more organized manner, which we can all do. It is not a big thing. It's only commitment that matters. One of our main problems, we are not really committed to whatever we are going to do, and that's what part of the problem. So this is an example. You can read on your own. Then here, I want to draw the attention of our host, the advisor to the governor on social investment. This alone, if this is only what I will present, I think it will showcase that yes, zakat contribute in poverty alleviation compared to the state budget. And I think from far you can see it. If you cannot see it, please share the slides. Because if you look at it, social protection budget in billion from 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016 up to 2024. And then the national zakat collection in billion is at the middle. You can now see it from 2013 then up to 2024. And you can see the percentage of social security budget from 1% up to where it goes to 7.7%. And then the end of the percentage of zakat to the police resources budget in the state budget tend to increase every year. Now you can see at the end what is expected or what is the potential of zakat is 327 trillion zakat potential. And now out of it, on the social protection budget, zakat in Indonesia has contributed 76%. In any exam, when you score 76%, I think the teachers, you give us A. So zakat scores A. If you want to study more, study. When they mention Indonesia, refer to business. When they mention Malaysia, their own is, they don't have one national. Each state has its own, and each one of them is making impact in its own state. So you can now see, this is the contribution of zakah in poverty alleviation compared to state budget. If you look at business distribution program, I just want to mention, Madam, it's not all, but at least in Indonesia, they have selected 43 programs in which to disburse zakah. But out of these 43, they were able to pick about 10 to 15 as priority program. According to research, those programs quickly, in all the 43, they are likely to give a fast-growing solution to poverty alleviation in any community in Indonesia. It may not be the same with Kaduna, but it may likely be the same because we share many things in common. So the relevance to Nigeria and Kaduna, zakat according to UNDP 2022 estimate Nigerian annual zakat potential as 1.3 billion if institutionalized. So what we are requesting from Kaduna is institutionalization of zakah and the Nigerian country as a whole. What we need from you is institutionalization of zakah. Waqf assets that include ideal schools, mosques, land across Nigeria can be revived as cash waqf for skill centers. Just now we learned, I and her, sitting, that there is an ongoing construction of a general hospital in Soba. They were looking for land. The government want to build the hospital in the town, but there is no land. But luckily enough, Al-Qadi City, they have inherited a land. They decided to make it waqf for their father and donated the whole land to Kaduna State government for building a hospital in memory and in honor of their late father as waqf. So, without going anywhere, example is here in Kaduna. So many of us, and I think what the ulama here need to do is to encourage everybody, even if you don't have money to make zakah because you are not rich enough to reach to the threshold, then but you can give charity and make sure you give one waqf charity before you leave this world. It will help you. Therefore, Islamic social finance shift beneficiaries towards productivity. Remember the hadith we were told by Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in Bukhari 1429, that is 1429, that the upper hand is better than the lower hand. So our challenges now is governance, weak, and transparency erodes trust. When our organization is weak, when transparency is not there, in all the conferences I attend of Zakah and Waqf, many of the international scholars, they tell us, if you remove trust in Zakah, forget about it. Any organization that manages Zakah must be, there must be trust, there must be transparency. And with transparency, the sky is the limit. There is, of course, poor understanding, lack of awareness of what zakah does. Because we only now assume that zakah is a charity. Many of our big people, even the lower ones, they didn't know much about what truly the strengths of zakah and waqf can do for us. So the ulama, the other stakeholders, you need to rise up to the occasion by creating awareness among our people. And let us understand, zakah is not only for Muslims. Zakah is even for animals and waqf, and they are also for the environment. Check the world. So it is good that we create awareness for people to understand. I think tomorrow, waqf will handle such things. And you understand that there is a need for us, if we come together to do good things, it benefits everybody. It benefits everybody. Even the animals benefit from it. Then integration. There is poor leakage with National Society Registry and cash transfer programs. Look at all the cash transfer programs. If time will come when the Zakat institutions, the National Register of the Poor, everyone that matters are brought together and we agree to work together. And let's say this is Kaduna State. We have 63 or 60 something percent are poor. Where are they? Now we have the register. They are 4 million. Where are they located? What is their problem? Can't we sit together, all of us, and now decide we are going to fight with this number of poverty? You specialize in this, take this. You specialize in this, take this. You specialize in this, take this. Let's fight and come back after 3 months. See what we are doing. After 6 months, what are we doing? After 1 year, what have we achieved? We can do it. But are we ready to do it? That is the problem. Who is there to coordinate? If not, Madam has not done this effort, probably we will remain as we are, as far as Kaduna State is concerned, for a very long time. She now brought us together. And thank God, everyone that matters is here. Only few are not here. So we can start from here. We can start from here. And we look at it as an issue that involves all of us. If your neighbor is Christian, is hungry, you slept belly full, you are in trouble. If your neighbor is a Muslim, you are in trouble. Islam does not even allow to leave a cow or a goat or a chicken hungry. Because it's recorded in Islam, the ulama knew there was a woman that tied a cat and she couldn't give the cat food and didn't allow the cat to find food. For that reason, the cat died. And for that, she will be punished. And if you like, there is a woman whom they said it's a woman that maybe, I don't want to call her any other name, like she move around. So, but the woman met a dog at a well, and the dog cannot find. The dog is trying to sniff the weighted land over there. But what she did was to find a way of putting maybe her shoe or her wrapper in the well, bring it, then squeeze it for the dog to drink water. And after that, for this reason, she was forgiven by God Almighty. These examples are there in our text. So compassion, you cannot compromise this from anybody. Therefore, there is a need for integration, for linkages, for cooperation, and understanding among ourselves. We have done so much cash transfer. I'm not accusing anybody. But the impact of the cash transfer, whether it's from the car, whether it's from national soak, whether it's from government, whether it's from World Bank, whether it's from anybody, how far has this cash transfer make impact in the life of these people? I'm not saying it didn't, but how far? So there's also issue of the Sharia compliance and Sharia audit. If I talk about Sharia audit, I may not be understood in this forum. Maybe when we get the base, and as we move forward now, we are now going to see the significance of Sharia audit in Zakah and Waqf. So some of the pathways for Kaduna State is that there is a need to create Kaduna Zakah and Waqf board with clear law and digital reporting. We want to suggest pilot Zakat funded health insurance, top off with the Kachima. The Kachima issue, you look at it and remove Garar and remove some of the interest, if there is any. And I think the model of Sokoto, they call Sokema, will be a nice model for you. And it will be accepted by all because all those things are removed. Then we need to also adopt, e-zakat and cash worker platform for youth donors. Already the social register of Soku presented by Mina presented some of this opportunity. Therefore, productive focus will go a long way if now we have zakat, like the Kaduna zakat and all other zakat. This will continue to propagate that maybe 40% of our zakat may go to Kaduna Hassan or MSMA for empowerment of the women and youth in particular, and of course in training the business and other linkages. Therefore, remember, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu said, if a sheep dies, in one of the banks of the Europeans, yet I fear Allah will ask me about it. That is all about leadership, and accountability. He is a leader who resides in Saudi Arabia in Makkah. But he is afraid at the Far East, if anything is to happen to, let's say, a sheep, because of his negligence, God will ask him on Yom Al-Qiyamah. So I think there's a need for our leaders to also think that this zakat issue is more about compulsory compassionate to fellow human beings, which every leader must oblige. And no leader among us Muslims will emerge as a leader. He knows one of the questions God will ask him as a believer on the day of resurrection, that is about the welfare of the ummah in the institution of zakat. Has he looked at that or not? So in conclusion, Islamic social finance replaces state. It only complements. It doesn't replace state social protection. And we need to start small, govern well, then digitize and target productivity. Allah, God Almighty, does not change the condition of a people until they themselves, they change what is in themselves. This is Quran 13 verse 11. With this, inshallah, I welcome comments, and I want to stop here and thank once again both Kaduna Zakah and Waqf Foundation and the advisor to the governor, Barrister Bridget, for organizing this discussion, and for UNICEF helping us to come and discuss how Zakah and Waqf will come into play in the social protection, whereby everyone will have what to live on, will live happily, and will also be able to give his own contribution to the development of our various communities. We shall remain with you. Top. We shall remain with you, inshallah, as we move. Top. Thank you. We shall remain with you in discussions, questions, and maybe improving some of this presentation. I believe Brother Dogarawa, once he's around, and Brother Lailamido and other brothers will enrich us with more detailed discussions. I said you asked for global, but there are also local practices, which I believe if we look into, we'll be able to move faster, bi'idhnillah. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I wish you the best of luck. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. To go to Sokoto and see how the Sokema arrangement came up, because there are fundamental issues that you need to know, that no Muslim consciously agree with the issue of interest and also the issue of Garar. So in the NHIS, there are some problems with regards to your contributory. What you contribute and you didn't use, and what XYZ. So some of those challenges are there. But there were experts in Islamic social finance, in Islamic studies, in law. All of them were put together for quite some time working, looking at every sentence, every figure there, and they arrive at what they think is acceptable to all. And every faith may not have problem with that arrangement. And you can see that. Secondly, even in Nigeria, the awakening of Zakah and Waqf institutionalization has just begun. So some states have gone very far, like us in Sokoto, like Zamfara, and of recent, like Kebbi, Kanu, Katsina, they are all on board. Bauchi and Niger are still working, revisiting their law. Borno, Yobe, they are revisiting their laws. Kwara State, so Kogi State, Lagos. You see, Lagos is an independent Zakah. But when we were in Morocco last 2-3 months before Ramadan, I know when they started with collecting 80-something million, 100 million, 200 million. Then our last meeting, Prince Olagunju was telling me that, Chairman, this what we are doing is making impact. But I think you think it doesn't make impact. It's not that I didn't think. It will make impact, I know, but he said it's past making impact. I say, why? He said, because our target was about 700 million. It's as I'm speaking to you before I come to Morocco, we are 1.2 billion naira collection in Lagos. In Lagos. And the Lagos, they collected Lagos, but they went up to Maiduguri, they came to Kaduna, they went to Abia, they went to Port Harcourt. They still find needy people and give it to them. You can see no border. So if you are looking for a state-based Zakat institution, those are what I mentioned for you. If you look at private, that of Lagos, in Brother Abdullah, allow me to hear, he's from Gombe. Gombe has no Zakat institution. Kaduna is a little bit ahead of Gombe in terms of Zakah. But in terms of private participation, Gombe is ahead of Kaduna because Abdullah Lamido is there, and they have made, tomorrow I believe, if he comes to his presentation, he will share some of those experiences with us. You will agree with me. So if you come to Emirate base, like for example the Jigawa state, they only have one law in the state, and they allow all the Emirates to do it according to their own peculiarity. And by the time we come together to put this year, what Gombe has done, Jigawa state, I think to a large extent, this year they have gone to over 2 billion naira collection from Kazaure, from Jigawa, Hadija, from Dutse, and also from Gumel and Ringit, Emirates. So if you are asking for where these things are being work out, these are some of the states. And there are little laws passed by the state assemblies, assented by the state governors. And for those who are not private, who are not government like your own, Kaduna Zakat and Waqf Foundation, you have the registration with the Corporate Affairs Commission and some other relevant organization here in Kaduna. And I think you remember, he mentioned that this year alone, they were able to distribute in the last report about 120 million naira plus. It's not from the government, it's from individuals. And it didn't go to anybody other than those who are in need, according to the 8 asnaf, 8 categories of people. I think that's all. That one is, to a large extent, I have answered your question. If you like, we can discuss more, maybe from up microphone. And then on the issue of how will these banks come to our aid? The banks, they have a lot to help us. This digitalization we are talking about, it cannot do without the bank's cooperation. We need account for our own individual organizations, and then we need account for almost every beneficiary. If we are going on digital, we need account. Therefore, they need to open an account. Only that where we came from, the account opening is becoming difficult. So I only want to let you know, there is Bank, Taj Bank, Summit Bank, Lotus Bank, Alternative in Sterling Bank, that look, see what OPay is doing, Money Point is doing. So things need to be a little bit simplified for us. An ordinary person that is going to receive 100,000 naira or 200,000 naira, he doesn't need much technicalities for really, if you want us to be fast in digitalization of disbursement. So collection is easy. Anybody going to give you money now, hardly can he give you 1 million cash. He will transfer it to the account. It's going to be more transparent. But when giving it out, you need to reach to the person in the remotest area. Then you need some, assistance. And he may use the account once, maybe until another time again he use the account. So find a way that the account will be active. Together we can put heads together and see what we can do. That is one. The second aspect also you can help us is also help us to work together. Madam, all these banks, maybe today or this year, they don't have 2 million customers. They don't have 2 million customers. Put them all together. Taj Bank, Jaiz Bank, Alternate Bank, non-interest Islamic banking, they don't have 2 million customers. If they have it, it will be towards the end of 2025 or 2026, I don't know. But I reliably took this information face to face with some of their leaders. Now, how many are we? Even in Kaduna, there are vulnerables according to the household, 1,200 households, over 4,000 beneficiaries. Now, supposing this 4,000 beneficiaries are registered in Kaduna, another one registered in Kano, another one registered in XYZ. Didn't you think that it is going to be much easier for us? Even your benefit, your profit is going to be high. So I think, honestly, you need to collaborate with us in that. Number three, you need to fund us in capacity building. You have zakat or you have wealth that you cannot consume, we know.
MPI,
non-permissible. Why can't you use this MPI to help in building? Like, for example, here in Kaduna, come together, help her with this money, use this money to create more training, more understanding, more organization on how this zakah and waqf can reach nooks and crannies of Kaduna State. You can do that. But you don't even talk to us on what you do with those money. We are not saying what you are doing is wrong. But if you work with zakat institutions, they are taking back this wealth to you. Every person that is going to be paid is going to be through you. But why do we work together and you forget us? And then there are other innovations like in the microfinance. We are coming together now to say we need to create more microfinance. Like in Indonesia, they have what they call Baitul Mal wa Tamwil. We are now trying to create cooperative waqf. Their school cooperative waqf. Now imagine if we succeed, every mosque has opened an account where they have this money for waqf or cooperative to put it into this your account, your banks. I think you are going to grow faster than now. These are some of the things that, Madam, I can say. Just 3 things are enough. Let's start with these 3 things from these banks, and then inshallah we can move forward with the banks. Then the other question asked by which brother is this?
Madam Nina.
Kachima, I have answered Kachima. I have answered Madam. Okay, Madam Nina. Madam Nina, we have a lot to work together. For me, if the National Social Register and all the state social register have really been able to capture those that matters, it makes our work easy. I am aware, I think even last year when Abdullah, they were sharing the Qurbani meat here, they were able to get some of those people, in the register. But our problem is sometimes those map out in the register, would have been in a productive manner of zakat distribution. But remember, some of them cannot be productive. Somebody very sick, very old, even if you give him money, there is no business he can do. The best is to sustain him to the end of his life. And that you can do, or that we can do. Yours is only to provide us with the genuine registered. And then, of course, the issue of updating, because some will die, of course, and then some become more vulnerable. The very day you leave the town, somebody may die, and somebody may also be eligible to fall into the social register. So working together among us is very, very important. And I'm sure if we could find this in every state where the Soko and the Zakat institutions come together to identify the faqir, the miskin. Only that in our own distribution, there may be what you cannot be able to register. Somebody who traveled from Zaria and became here, Ibn Sabil, that he became, he stranded, you may not have him in the register here. Even if he's from Kaduna, you may have his name, but somebody can come from Kogi, somebody can come from Anambra State. So that one you may not have him, but there are specific areas that we are unique. Then we now recognize it. The areas where it's easy, and I'm sure that is Fakir and Masaki. Fukara and Masaki, and that is poor, and then the poorest of the poor. I think mostly. Whether you talk of women, whether you talk of aged, whether you talk of widows, whether you talk of divorcees, all of them will fall into Fukara and Masaki. That is poor or poorest of the poor. So, and they are entitled to zakah. I think there is a need for her office, apart from this conference, to bring us together. I mean, here in Kaduna, those who are in charge of zakah, and then to start talking and how they can share. And sharing now, you may not be able to share all the papers. You may have to share digitally. And that's why the issue of digitalization again is very important. So banks, even training us, madam, even training those in the field and those stakeholders in digitalization of this zakah is very, very important, and it will help us in a long way. So these are some of the answers I can give, but inshallah, as we move, since we are still together, we'll continue to discuss and we'll continue to see how far we can go. Now, Kachima. Yeah.
This one is from humanitarian.
Oh, humanitarian.
Kachima is the one next to you.
Okay. Humanitarian. Akarmakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Professor Ahmad Bello Dogara has come in. He's the next speaker. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. I've been working here in the north. The normal thing we do when we are giving out zakat is that I have the money, I deduct that percentage of money to be given out as zakat, and I look for my immediate family and distribute to them. Now, if this institution is established, zakat and wakaf in Kaduna, what strategy can we put in place, for example, to see that people willingly and voluntarily donate or contribute to this agency?
You have to do a lot of advocacy.
Advocacy.
Yeah. Okay, you have something to say again?
That's my concern, because we
Listen. For over 200 years, there's nobody to force people to pay the due of Allah. That is the right of God. Now that you are awakening the system under the so-called democratic system, then you have to, first of all, start gradually. You need to establish trust in what you are doing. If Kaduna State is establishing the directorate or the board or the agency or the commission by the first appointment of those appointed, if the concern of the people is not considered, that is the beginning of the problem. If they succeeded in appointing someone that averagely, I'm not saying 100%, people accept that he is just unfair, then let the work of the commission or the agency or the board now also showcase its accountability nature, its everything that is supposed to be done in terms of justice, equity, what, blah, blah, blah. Then people will see. Then gradually people will start supporting. And the government itself needs to support that institution. If the government supports the institution, for example, let me tell you, in Zamfara State, they say this is an institution in charge of Zakah and Waqaf, but under Waqaf, any contract we give, you give 1%, or you give 2%. You collect money, you distribute to the poor. In other states, this is what they do. They say from the local government, each local government gives a contribution of, let's say, about $500,000. So that's how it has been in many parts of the country. So what you need to do more at the beginning, before and at the onset, is more of advocacy in terms of creating awareness. You need the media, you need the ulama, you need other stakeholders to understand the system. At the beginning, there is no compulsion. Even where it is written in the law, signed by the governor, like in our own case, is you take 40% you give to your relations, and you take 50% to the central treasury. But even then, we are not doing that. Enforcement is, we have not done enough of mobilization in terms of sensitization to go into the enforcement. Do you understand? Do you understand me? So it will take time. But certainly, like now, it's becoming gradual. Because in a state, I think last week, in Ramadan, I was there. So far, they have collected about 4 billion. That's in a state. It's come out from Kaduna. They have collected so far about 4 billion. Very important. Yes, come out from Kaduna. About 4 billion plus, and they have not finished. The governor himself of Kaduna, I mean Katsina State, I was invited. He came out and gave his 50 million naira. And some of his friends also came out and gave. Then his deputy said, okay, I have a range. Go to the range and take out the due of Allah. We went there. There were 4 cows and I think 1 or 2 sheep was taken out from his farm. So everybody have seen. So you have to start to do that. In Kebbi State, the governor also came out and gave his own. He gave his own 30 million naira. His deputy gave 5 million naira. Another one gave. So even those in authority, at the beginning, they need to come and support the system. When the system is well established, it will take care of itself. And this reminded me the question of my brother here. In some states or in some countries, it's compulsory. In some countries, it is still optional. Like in Indonesia, it's not compulsory, but if you work in the government and your salary is up to the threshold of zakah, it's taken automatically. And every year, the president of the country will come himself in front of the chairman. He pays his own zakah and he collects the receipt. And he asks his members of the cabinet to do so. There wasn't time. I would have shown you all this when making my presentation. Really, I condensed my presentation to what I think will suffice us. And in some other countries, it is mandatory, like in Sudan. Even those who are going to upload your grain from the farm, if you didn't show them the receipt you have paid zakah, they will not load it. Because even the truck, when it gets to the main road, going into the town, there is a checking point. They will ask him, this what you have brought from farm, let me see the zakat receipt. If there is no zakat receipt, the driver will be arrested and sent to the prison. And only when the president gives the order, he will be given on bail. So they are very serious about it. And go and see what they are making out of it in terms of helping the needy. So there are different systems across the world. If you go to South Africa since 1974, they have one of the most strongest zakat institutions. Muslims are only 5% there. But everybody, I told Madam, even when I went to South Africa, I told them I was invited by Sanzap from the airport. Everybody respected me with all my team. And they asked us to go because they know the importance of Sanzap in South Africa. Because it helps people and it has no barrier. Whether you are Muslim or not Muslim, whether you are from Zulu or you are from, it doesn't matter. So I think we are only going to start gradually and we don't need to rush. Gradually we shall get to where, whether we are alive or not, inshallah it will get to that point when the zakat and waqf will play their role in balancing, the issue of, economy in this country. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show us that day, and may Allah continue to help each and every one of us. We thank you that you are cooperating with her and everyone that matters to see how we can put these things together. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, there's another question from someone.
Alaikum salam. Naam.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sadus Yahya from Joint National Association of Persons with Disability Kaduna State. Sir, in your presentation, I understand that the 8 categories of people you said our members fall under one of those categories, that is people with disability. So my question here, sir, is how can our members be part of this, be part of the beneficiaries in this zakat? Because we don't know how the people will go and register or how this started is. That is my question, sir. Thank you very much.
Now, number one, you are not in only one category. You may fall into 2 categories, 3 categories, 4 categories. So it depends on the situation you find yourself. And I believe you are also captured in the National Social Register. So in our own case, like in Sokoto, we also have our own register. Soko have their own register. What we are trying to do now is to harmonize the 2 registers. So whatever we are going to do in Sokoto, we also have your own share. We have your leaders, and we categorize you. Those people living with the disabilities, there are the lepers, there are the cripples, there are the blind, there are even those with spinal cord. And then there's also the deaf, am I right? So we know each of this category. We apportion your own portion according to. But one of the problems we found, if it is from the government, they said you are under Ministry of Social Welfare. But before in Sokoto we have a register of 6,696 people living with disability. And we give each one of them 10,000 naira every month. And that has been for over, now I'm talking to you, over 15 years. Each one of them, every blessed month, he gets this amount of money. And there's a lot. There's no time to tell you how we go about it, but even now it continues. So one of the problems at the government level, you are not under her, sometimes, I don't know in Kaduna, but they say you are under Ministry of Social Welfare. Sometimes even you have your own advisor, SA on people living with disability. So sometimes policy inconsistency affects where you belong to. But anywhere we meet you as a car, if it is not from the government, we can give you the car. But even from the government, your own portion is given to you, so you cannot take your portion there and come and take the portion of others here. You understand? So now with this register, you will be able to actively participate. And we are looking for graduating you from mustahik to muzakki. Our own feeling is that those with physical challenge, some of you can be very good business people. You only need a chance, and if Allah will, you become. You don't need to remain perpetually begging all the time looking for zakah. You are also supposed to give zakah at a point when you have it, and also give wakaf accordingly. Thank you very much.
So, due to time factor, sir, there's just one last contribution from Summit Bank, and we'll go to the next presentation.
Summit Bank. So money is coming.
Yeah. Like you earlier stated, for years you have been distributing this zakat and without much impact. So how can we as a bank be able to assist you to measure the impact that we build public trust? Thank you, sir.
How do you assist us to build public trust? One, I want to say, I didn't say we have distributed zakah without impact. I said different government organizations, including individual or community-based zakah and government zakah, we have been involved into cash transfer. But to what extent has this cash transfer all along these years reduced this poverty? After all, instead of reducing, it's increasing day by day up to this moment. I said we need to ask ourselves why. But if you talk of how your bank can help us to be more prudent, then is if we join hands, first of all, to have opening an account, and then when we have little, for example, I have 1 million naira to disburse, supposing on Qarzan Hassan basis, on money interest, you are ready to take my 1 million for those 100 people that I want to give, for example, if it is 10,000 naira, and you give them a loan of 50,000 naira, and then we train them before we give them the loan, and when they pay, they can graduate from 100 to 200, from 200 to 500, maybe through good monitoring mechanism, which is the bank can create a section for that, and then we can also create a section for that. Then the two can work together, that we now make sure that we are making productive distribution of the car wherever we are producing. What it will help us that, I don't know, we have some ulama here, like my professor, but I'm sure he has been campaigning for it. For me, I was just asking myself, if you can give somebody a car of 100,000 naira but through the bank, in terms of Qarzan Hassan, use the bank, he knows his bank, so he will not spend it. But if you know it's only zakah, you say, Kayan Allah na kabani kuma kana biya. But if he knows the bank is in between, just to get the money, but the money belongs to him. Supposing he died, nobody will pay. And it's on his property. But since our ability, our faculty of thinking is so low, there is need for some mechanism to raise that to some extent, at least to make our people look more human and matured, rather than the present situation that we are always at the bottom, and effort to come up always is being tarnished to something else. I work in agri. I told you, I was